So the Build in El Salvador retreat just ended 10 days ago, and today I'm finally getting back into my routine. It's been a really tumultuous week not having a routine, and the week before that I didn't have a routine either because we were setting up for the retreat. So in this video, I want to use content creation as a tool to reflect and process some things, and perhaps there will be something you can learn from this as far as your own routine building. This is a very new thing to me. So for some context, I spent 2 months before the retreat building my routine, and I was killing it. I was doing so good. In fact, I was feeling like there was 30 hours in a day. I was getting so much done just by segmenting my sections of the day, by micromanaging my hours, by tracking my habits. I was just getting so much done. It felt great. I was doing things all over the place. My consciousness was just like so expansive. Then the retreat happened, drink some alcohol, party, socialize, and it completely changes. All the momentum was destroyed. So finally today, I finally had a minute to just sit down in the morning, slow down, write, reflect, and process. Okay, it's time to get back into my daily video content creation routine. Now, I don't know if it's going to be daily, but it's time to get back into a routine of content creation. So in this video, I want to share with you what I've learned about building a healthy routine with good habits and what happens when the momentum crashes and how to get back into it. So the first thing I noticed was that despite all the chaos going on with catching up with things, with Sovereignty Studios, with our residency in El Salvador, with the kids, with my clients, with the boot camp, despite all of that, there were still a few habits that stuck with me, new habits. One of those being I do yin yoga before bed. Now, I always knew my sleep was better and I felt better in the morning by practicing a little yin yoga before bed, but it's before bed. I want to read a book, maybe even watch something and just crash out. I'm tired, but practicing a little yoga beforehand, just my sleep is so much better. So I started doing that a few months ago, and now despite all the chaos, I just continued doing it. That's awesome. I would also have outside cardio time. So in the middle of the day, when I've been working hard, I take 30 to 45 minutes, I go outside and work up a sweat. Calisthenics, mobility stuff, workout. I don't go to the gym. I stay outside in the sun, sweat my ass off, and it feels great. This I also kept with me. And along the same lines of exercise, I've been practicing yoga in the morning for like 10, 12 years, so I continue doing that. So that habit stuck with me. Now, like I said, 12 years, I've been doing that a long time, but the middle of the day and the night thing is new, and it's intimidating to think about, like to put myself in the space, like, oh, I'm going to go have a yoga practice now, or I'm going to go outside and do cardio now. But when you make it a short period of time, like 30 minutes outside, just 2 yoga poses before bed, maybe 3, maybe 6 if I'm feeling into it, once I get into it. But if I just say, I'm only going to have to do 2, I only have to do 2, it's okay. It's not as intimidating. So that's the first thing I've learned about habits is make them less intimidating, make them easy to do. And I haven't read this in a while, but I think he talks about it in here too, is you can even use a cue craving reward situation. So for example, when we have a bad habit, there's a cue and then we crave it, like I want the chocolate, and then we have a response, and so we either eat the chocolate or we don't, and then there's the reward, like the dopamine fix from the chocolate. So we can tweak that by saying, okay, if I don't do it, instead of the chocolate, I'm going to do something else that I like or something else that makes me feel good, and kind of derail that habit. Now that's a bad habit. With a good habit, you can stack them. So when I get the reward, the dopamine hit from, I don't know, doing yoga in the morning, then I immediately go into a new one, because then that dopamine hit triggers in my brain like, oh, now it's time to do this, which also makes me feel good. Oh, I do this one, that also makes me feel good. My gratitude practice, my wealth affirmation, my daily content creation. When the more habits you stack that feel really good, your brain starts to wire them like, hey, this feels good, let's do this, and you feel good about it. And the way to start is just make it simple. Meditate for 2 minutes, not 20 minutes, 2 minutes. It's a lot easier to sit and meditate for 2 minutes than it is to say, I'm going to sit down for 20 minutes and meditate. Like, who's got time for that? Same with reading personal development books. They can be boring. I might not be in the mood for it all the time, but if it's just 10 pages a day, that's like a whole book in a month. I'm just reading 10 pages a day. It takes me 10 minutes. 10 pages, 10 minutes, done. And you get compounding results over time. So good habits are very, very powerful and very important. And so when this routine came and smashed all my momentum, I was like, ugh, Like, how do I get back into this? So the exercise stuff, the yoga stuff was the first thing that I kept together. The second was my nightly journal. I've been doing this for years, but I wasn't always too strict about it. But lately I'm like, no, I'm doing it no matter what. And sure enough, momentum crash, I'm still doing the journal. It makes me feel good, helps me process everything. And the last thing that's new that I'm still doing is a nightly routine with the kids, which, my parents did, my dad did with us growing up, but I'm not sure why it took this many years. Maybe because the kids have been young and now they're finally old enough to register. But our nightly routine is a little gratitude prayer. Just saying, hey, what are 3 things you're grateful for? And they like to mess around. I'm grateful for everything, which means I don't have to say anything. But we've been doing that every night, and it's really beautiful because now I hear my son use, oh, I'm grateful for that in his vocabulary. And so stacking onto that, I mean, maybe that's not the right term, stacking, but we've also been doing a little prayer saying grace, holding hands around the table. And we used to do just a little blessing like, thank you, food, yum. But that kind of wore off. But they really like now holding hands all together, saying thank you. They like to say grace. We just say thank you, God, thank you for this food, thank you, Mom, for cooking. And it's starting to really like become in their heads like, hey, let's be grateful. So that's been a really awesome habit to practice as a fairly new father. So those were the 3 like newer habits that stuck with me. Now there's more new habits that did not stick with me when the momentum crashed. And as of today, I'm getting back into it. So one of them is daily content creation and writing. Before I start my work with Sovereignty Studios in the day, for 45 minutes, I say, hey, I'm going to sit down and make content during this time. 45 minutes to an hour, 8 a.m. I'm going to write whatever I write, and then I'm going to pull out the camera and record something. Whether I use it or not, I just start. And then I have a backlog of stuff on the computer that I can use or pull from when I have some time in the afternoon or whenever it is. Hey, I'm going to schedule some content. And I also just feel good because by writing, I'm processing, I'm reflecting. It's similar to the nightly journal. It's just an opportunity to get stuff off my chest. And we live in an age where if you're creative enough and you have curiosity and insight and you follow that curiosity, then you can build wealth. You can create a livelihood. You can provide values to others. You can build an audience. You can do really great things. And that's why I coined my program Creator Sovereignty, because the act of creation funneled into the package of content put out and distributed with intention is just a very powerful thing we can practice and something we can do to claim more sovereignty over our lives. Because once you're making money online, you're practicing your creativity and getting fulfillment from that. You're making money, so you're getting fulfillment from that because you can provide for your family. You're making money. We all have to make money, and you're doing something you love. And then you're also then allowed, you have some financial freedom from that, and you have geographical freedom because you can do it from anywhere. So this is like new forms of sovereignty that anyone can practice, and it may take years. In fact, I'm finally coming to terms with the fact that it's going to take years before my creator business will really generate a whole livelihood for me because of just my personality and marketing and all these things, like selling things. Like when I get on a phone call, I think I can be pretty good at it, but when it comes to just doing it online and having the right offer and putting everything in the right language so people want to buy it, that's just not one of my strong suits. So I'm developing those skills and I'm learning patience. Like, hey, it doesn't need to be overnight. As most people say, like Justin Welsh, Jay Klaus, and the creator space, like it takes a good 3 years before people are noticing your work and wanting to pay for what you're putting out there. So making content every day, finally getting back into that, even though it crashed my momentum. This is something, and I think anything we're doing creatively, like making art, like we're intimidated, like The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. It's like there is resistance when we know we're going to create and we have infinite worlds in front of us to start building with our hands. So there's a natural resistance that comes in there, writer's block, right? So getting into a routine of it removes that resistance with time through the same neural pathways in your brain. Like, oh no, this feels good. I like to do this. I'm rewarded from this. I'm going to keep doing it. So it's easy. Another thing that crashed down was my reading of personal development books. I like holding a real book in my hand. I have my daylight tablet, which doesn't have blue light, so it's okay to like look at night. But in the dark, I like to just have a tiny light and read my book. But I haven't had a personal development book to read. I haven't had a good fiction book to read either, for that matter. So I haven't been reading, which I'm trying to get back into now. And yes, I got to do it on the tablet because it's harder to get books down here in El Salvador in English of the caliber that I'm trying to read. So I'm getting back into that. Very important habit. I'm noticing, if I just think of all the years I read every possible fantasy science fiction book, imagine I've just been reading 10 pages of a self-development book every day, I'd probably be a very different person now. But it's okay because I'm doing it now. Another thing that I fell off the wagon with was my daily habit tracker, my daily plan, and my daily gratitude journal. So these are technically 3 separate things, but I lump them all together. Is after I do my yoga in the morning, shower, say goodbye to the kids, have breakfast, I like to sit down, write 3 things I'm grateful for. Doesn't have to be a big deal. And then do my wealth affirmations, thanks to the Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill classic. He wrote this in the 30s, and he's talking about programming your subconscious with desire and faith to get what you want, in this case, money. So you have to repeat it to yourself every day. It's called auto-suggestion. You grill it into your subconscious, so then everything you're doing, all your actions, slowly start morphing into exactly what you need to do to build that wealth or achieve that goal. So in my case, I've been saying I'm going to earn $100 million in 15 years. By the time my youngest is 18, $100 million. I don't know if I'm going to say net worth or just like straight up $100 million. Like, why not? Perhaps it doesn't matter. But the point is, I haven't been doing it. I have not been grilling it. And in fact, I noticed that the further I get away from not doing it every day, the farther away that goal feels. Like when I'm telling myself every day, I'm going to make $100 million by offering sovereignty products in a world where people are craving sovereignty. I'm going to sell that. I'm going to feel good by it, blah, blah, blah. You put out all the components and variables of how this is going to happen. Then I start to believe it. I'm saying it every day. I really am starting to believe it's going to happen. But then after taking like 10 days off, here and there I did it. But I just see now it's farther away. I feel more depressed about it. I don't feel as confident. So I want to get back into that, writing that out. So every morning I got my orange gratitude journal. I write the gratitude, 3 things I'm grateful for, and what I'm going to earn in what period of time by doing what. Just grill that in. So the gratitude is for having a healthy, grateful outlook, like I was mentioning with the kids. If I get the kids to thinking about what they're grateful for all the time, they're naturally going to be more grateful. It's grilling it into their subconscious. Same thing with me. I want to be a more grateful person. I think I can be pretty grateful anyway, but I believe I can be a lot more grateful based on how sometimes I can be upset with someone and choose to look at something negatively instead of like gratefully. Like, hey, I appreciate all you do for me, wife, but I want to talk about this instead of just going rah, 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 and not having any great gratitude at all. So gratitude journal, affirmations, and then there is the daily plan. Every day writing what I'm going to do today, what I need to do. And this, I do this in the beginning of the week too. What needs to be done this week? What's my priority? What are some notes? And then every day at the beginning of the day, write down, okay, here's what I'm going to do today based on what happened yesterday. What needs to be done? What are my deadlines? Blah, blah, blah. Really important practice that I haven't been doing. I've just been like in the chaos of it all and realizing like, oh, that's why I do the daily plan. So I can like stay on top of everything that needs to be done. So daily plan, really helpful. And I'm recognizing why I felt like there was 30 hours in a day is because every hour was accounted for doing something that felt right. And then the third part of this is the habit tracker, which I have down here. There's also spreadsheets for it. You can find them online. There's many ways of doing it. I like to do it in a notebook, but it's just got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you write each habit you want to do and how many days per week you want to do it. So in my case, I say the yoga, meditation, gratitude in the morning, the daily plan, the nightly routine with the kids, read 10 pages of self-development book, do outside cardio, do yoga and journal before bed, right? So then you check it off, when you have a to-do list, like you want to do the things because you want to check it off and feel that satisfaction that's done. So not doing that, not doing the plan, I just haven't been getting any satisfaction because like I'm doing things, but I'm not registering that I'm doing things. And so that leads to a new habit that my business partner and friend, Michael Ruiz, has taught me is at the end of the day, or even during the day, write down everything you do. Write it down. Because then at the end of the day, you can look at it and be like, oh shit, like I had a great day. I got a lot done today. And it feels really good because if you get a lot done, but you don't register it, it's like my mom always says, when you create something, a critical part of the feedback loop at the end of it is to look at it. You write something, read it. You make a video, watch it. You plant trees in the garden, look at it. You build a house, look at it. You have to take it in. Your brain has to register, hey, I did this. I created this. I feel good about it. You have to get all that experience in there for the loop to close, to feel the satisfaction from it. So by writing out everything I do as the day goes on, and then reflecting on it at the end of the day, I can have that loop closed. Like, oh, hey, look what I got done. And this example came up for me because a few days ago, I was just so busy running around and I had to go see the lawyer. And then I had to go meet someone for the team because it would be a good network connection. And I was like, man, I'm not getting anything done. And then I thought about it later and I thought, actually, that meeting with the lawyer was important, not just for my residency, but because we might be able to partner with him and have an affiliate agreement to send clients his way. I was like, oh, cool. That's actually a huge win for the business. And then I went to Chuck E. Cheese to meet this guy with the kids. And I was like, I don't want to go to fucking Chuck E. Cheese. I don't want to do this at all. But, you know, we need to meet this guy. And then I met him. We hit it off. And he invited us to come check his thing out and make some content. And we're like, great. This is a huge win. So it took me to register that. But if I had just come home, continued with my day, put the kids to sleep, whatever, I wouldn't have registered like, oh, this was actually a huge win. This was really important. So writing, that's my next new habit, writing everything that happened during the day so I can actually feel it at the end. Like, hey, cool, I did it. So those are the things I've learned about habits and the results I've been getting from them. To close off, I just want to share something, I guess, of the spiritual nature that I've learned over the years, where despite things not happening how you would prefer, life is still beautiful. So despite the chaos, despite the lacking harmony because the routine isn't there, life is still happening. It's still important. All the things I've been busy with, being busy can be awesome if you really believe in what you're building and what you're doing. And I'm trying to build a life here in El Salvador, a future for my kids, a productive business. And I believe in that. So being busy, I don't need to look at it like it's taking away from me. Like, oh, I don't have 30-hour days anymore. I'm not as organized. It's like, no, it's just all part of the process. There's a time for routine. There's a time for chaos. And at the end of the day, it's all good because here I am. I'm making content again. I did my gratitude journal of the day. I did my plan. I'm here. I'm back. And I'm stoked. And when the next retreat comes, I'll be ready for it. So if you're still watching and you're into this kind of thing, that's cool. You might like my newsletter, jordanherbs.com. You can sign up. This is pretty much all I talk about are the same things I make videos about. In this case, habits and lifestyle routines have been really important to me lately, so I've been talking about it a lot. So you can check out my newsletter, sign up, and I'll see you next time.